All right, Greg Palmer, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. Appreciate you coming out on this cold day.
Yeah, it is cold out there. Thanks for inviting me up, Chip.
Yeah, this is great. And so Greg and I, just so people know, we met way back in the 80s when Greg was working at WJT and I was working in advertising, and neither of us, I don't think, knew that we were musicians.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you heard that I was doing this podcast, you said, hey, I was in a few bands back in the day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So start, first of all, Erie guy?
Yeah, I'm from here. Grew up here.
High school?
Holy Rosary, grade school, Cathedral Prep.
There you go. All right. Good shout-outs there. All right. And so music, you are a multi-musician, right? Multi-instruments.
Yeah. Mainly guitar, but a little bit of horn now and then.
Yeah.
Picked up along the way.
Yeah, I saw that you played some trombone and trumpet, right? I mean, was guitar always the primary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although when I was like 6 years old, my mother sent me for piano lessons at St. Mary's Home. So
they often do back then. Yeah.
So I forget the nun's name. She was giving me piano lessons. I think it was a little atrium on the west end of the building. But after a few weeks, she told my mother she thought I was too young for piano lessons.
Oh, so it never stuck.
Probably because I had better things to do when I was 6 years old.
Sure.
Didn't feel like practicing. That's probably what that was all about.
When did the guitar come around?
Well, a little later on, I took sax lessons too. Actually, from Chuck Ventrillo down at Oseki's on 22nd Parade, but for some reason that didn't stick with me. But I always had music around the house. My mom played piano. My sister played piano. My dad played a little ukulele.
Wow. Okay.
But anyway, I'd hear, like prep assemblies. I hear there was Al Urbaniak and Will Rosenthal were playing at assemblies.
Okay.
I remember Will had this nice Telecaster. I just loved that guitar sound. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then around some of the local dances, hear bands like The Embers, Red and the Cannonballs.
What year is this around?
Around 61 or 62, 63, somewhere around there.
You graduate prep when?
65.
65, okay. So these guys are a little bit older than you that you're seeing.
But man, I just loved listening to those bands, and the guitar music was great. I really liked that.
So that kind of got you hooked on guitar?
Right.
Yeah.
So my cousin Lenny Huber and I used to walk downtown on Saturdays, and we'd walk around, and there was a street called Turnpike Street.
Sure.
And it runs right diagonally through the block where the job service is now, the unemployment office.
Right.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah, I know where it is. Yeah.
So there was like a pawn shop in there called Sloats, and they had an acoustic guitar in the window for $18.
What was it called?
Sloats.
All right.
So I had my newspaper money. I went and bought that guitar, and played it. And my cousin Jay Dilly, we used to go visit his family, and he had a guitar there. I always asked if I could play it, and I was a lot younger even then. And it was just so much fun to take that out of the case and just strum on it. I didn't know what I was doing.
What was the guitar that you bought at the pawn shop? What kind?
I don't think it had a name.
Oh, no. For $18, it's just generic as can be.
Right.
Gotcha. All right.
So actually, my parents bought me my first electric guitar for Christmas. It came out of the Montgomery Ward catalog.
There you go.
It was an Airline.
Ooh.
Single pickup.
All right.
But and then I was taking some lessons down at Markham's downtown from Carl Sawicki. And he was a pretty good teacher, and I think I took lessons for a year, maybe a little more. And Carl was really a good guy. He taught me a lot, and the best thing was I had this cheap guitar, but I didn't have an amp, so he'd lend me his Supro amp.
Wow.
To take home.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So it was pretty cool.
And you're a teenager at this point.
Right.
Cool. So are you playing in bands at all in school? Or are you hooking up with like guys at school to?
Yeah. One thing I might mention too that one of the other bands I was hearing at the time were called the Embers. I think it was Rainbow Gardens. I heard them, and they were really good. And one of the guitar players, Jeff Ortiz, I don't know if you've heard that name before, but he was really good. And he played Lonnie Mac's Memphis, which was out at the time. And man, I thought, man, this guitar player is great. I want to be like him someday. And it turned. I think it was like the same age as I was at the time.
Okay.
But the Embers, Bill Adliff was their singer too. They used to call him Goat for some reason, but he was a tremendous singer. He had a really great voice, nice and smooth, and Actually, he was later. He'd later be known as Freddie from Freddie and the Flashbacks.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how did you even get to see those bands if you were so young? Like you said, you went to Rainbow Gardens
Well,
once.
yeah, I think it was
Like teen dances?
Teen dances. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah, because I always hear about the Wyco dances and that type of thing
Right.
back then. But the Embers were kind of a, no pun intended, a hot band back then.
Yeah, I think they were.
Okay,
They had
right.
a piano. I remember they had a piano player and a drummer. I don't remember if another guitar player or not. But
Okay.
I remember Jeff Ortez and Bill Adliff because they were exceptional.
Okay. Did they go on to play in other stuff? Did you end up following them in other bands at all? Or?
Later on, I had connections with Jeff
Okay.
in another way.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
Gotcha. All right.
And that the guys I saw play at the prep assemblies, Al and Will, I told them I played guitar, and they came over to my house, and I jammed with them, which was a really big deal when I was like 14 or 15.
Right. Yeah.
So that was fun.
Well, how does I know that eventually you joined Eddie C. and the Bees.
Yeah.
Was that the first band? Or
No, there were a few before that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
In fact, my first gig, Denny Smith was a friend of mine, and anybody who's been around a while in music knows Denny. He was a tremendous drummer, but he played with a band. They had a job out of Harbor Creek High School. Now, this was 1963, and the reason I remember that is because Denny's dad used to get a brand new car every year, and he picked me up at my house in his dad's '63 Chevy Super Sport.
All right, I'd remember that too.
And I was a motorhead for my whole life. And I thought it was silver with a white roof. He had his drums piled in the back seat. So I hopped in, and we went out to Harbor Creek High School. I was sitting in for John Wellman in this band, Johnny and the Intruders.
Whoa, nice name.
Now, Intruders was spelled with an E because there was already a band, Intruders, spelled with an I.
Really?
So I played there, made $5. I remember that very well. And so it was fun. It was fun. That was like my first gig. And
Was it like a school dance?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
gotcha. Yeah.
And Denny and I became good friends, and he actually started playing. He was playing at that time with Jeff Ortez, who I mentioned a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he was playing at the Vets Club on 18th and Chestnut.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know if you know of that.
No.
It's on the building's still on the corner. It's got a glass block,
Oh.
arched window.
Yeah,
around the
I know
corners.
exactly what
Okay.
building that is. I always wondered what that was. Yeah.
It was the Vets Club, and Jeff worked second shift.
Okay.
So Denny asked me if I'd play at the Vets Club with him until Jeff showed up after his second shift job. So
So what time are you going on then? Or
I don't remember, 9 or 10.
oh, okay, it was that early. Oftentimes, I felt like those private clubs
yeah,
were
that's
super
true.
late.
No, I don't remember this being super late, but
Okay.
maybe it was.
Yeah. But you're still in high school.
Pretty much, yeah. And so Jeff, I'd sit in for Jeff, and Jeff would get there, and I'd sit down. And Jeff, if anybody remembers Jeff, he used to like to play loud. In fact, at the Vets Club, he'd take his amp and turn around facing the wall so he wouldn't blast out to people.
Wow. All right.
And he played this old Gibson Melody Maker, which, it's not, a lot of people consider it a basic student level guitar, but man, he made that thing sing. It was a really nice sound from it.
And were you a lead player or a rhythm player?
Probably rhythm, very little lead at that time.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And then, so I did that off and on just for a couple weeks. And then Denny had another job out at the Oakland Beach Hotel in Conneaut Lake with a guy from Meadville called Jim Parado.
All right.
And
So
anyway, so I played at the Oakland Beach Hotel for a few weeks. And it was this hotel. I think it was on the road where the golf course is down at the end, right on the beach. And it had a replica of a bow of a ship going out over the water, and that's where the lounge was.
Oh,
where we
okay.
played.
Sure,
So
yeah.
I think the place burnt down since then.
kind of like the old dry dock in town.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, so it was pretty cool. And
So these are just, you're filling in kind of for
Right.
bands
Yeah.
at this point.
Denny, I might mention, he took from Flip Bellotti, too.
Okay.
A lot of the
Classic
best
teacher
drummers
in
did.
town.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I used to take Denny down to his lessons at Markham's. I'd go with him, I should say. And I'd be sitting around waiting for Denny to come out of the studio. And he'd go in the studio on one occasion. He was in there for like 5 minutes and came back out.
You heard some yelling maybe?
His knuckles were all red. Apparently,
yeah.
Flip smacked him on the knuckles with the drumsticks.
I've
Told him
heard-
to go home and practice.
I've heard plenty of stories like that. Yeah, yeah. He created some great drummers,
Yeah,
but
he
he
sure
was a
did,
tough guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Denny and I went on to be really good friends. In fact, I was best man at his wedding.
Okay.
And then kind kind of after that, I got in with some guys. Jim Catterbone, I don't know if you've heard him. He's a drummer. He's been around a long time. And Rick and Randy Martz, they were brothers who lived on Norcross Road.
Oh.
Anyway, we had a band called The Sensations, and it was all instrumental. We had like 2 guitars, a bass, and drums. And we played things like The Ventures, Ghost Riders, Memphis, and
Sure.
That's all we did was instrumentals.
And back then, I mean, everybody was primarily focused, am I correct, on playing covers. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, actually, that's all bands I was in. That's all we ever played because
Okay.
nobody really had aspirations of making it big time. Or
Right,
anything.
right.
The few guys who did just kind of left and went on their own.
Right,
but-
right. Yeah, because you're in the era of the Epics and the RK4.
Right,
and-
yeah, exactly.
And those guys that did kind of go on. Okay, all right.
So we played instrumentals. And I remember Rick Martz. He had a Silvertone piggyback amp.
Okay.
Now, if the airline came from Montgomery Ward, the Silvertone stuff came from Sears catalog.
Gotcha. All right.
But if you couldn't afford a Fender piggyback,
I was going to say,
Silvertone.
this is not high-end stuff. Right,
But
right.
it sounded good. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
To me, anyway, at that point. Jim Catterbone's mom actually made us these jackets. Like they look like the Beatles on one of their cover albums.
Sure, yeah.
Made it out of drapery material. But we look good, man.
I mean, that was a big part of the deal back then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, everybody kind of looked the part.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a band. That's right.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, all we do was instrumentals. There was one job we played at Ripley High School, and we got up on stage, and it was a school dance. All we played were our instrumentals, you know, and it sounded pretty good. And we went on break, and everybody's mobbing us for autographs and all this stuff. We're going, what the heck's going on
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
So they were young too, so it's kind of funny.
Sure.
And Rick's dad had a band called the Troubadours, and they were playing a Christmas show down at Warren State Hospital, the mental hospital.
Okay.
So they invited us to go down too and play, and
That's,
we did.
That's
And
an
that was-
unusual gig. I mean, I usually ask folks, like, give me some of your weirdest gigs. I mean, playing in a mental hospital's
Yeah.
got to rank high.
Yeah, it was okay though.
All right.
It was pretty cool.
And so where do you go from there? I mean, at this point, are you still in high schools? You're still...
Yeah, in fact, there was a variety show where me and a couple other guys got together to play one song at the variety show.
Okay.
It was John Huber, my cousin Lenny's brother. He played tenor sax, and Eddie Russo.
Okay.
You may have heard Eddie's name.
I have, yeah.
He was a tremendous
Yeah.
organ player. But at that time, he was playing the Quartervox.
Which is what?
If you played accordion, you graduated to a Quartervox, which was more or less an electronic accordion.
Oh.
Where you could get different sounds
Okay.
out of it.
All right.
So I remember we played the song Twine Time.
That was the only one that you
That's
did.
the only one we
And this was
played.
like a prep variety
it was a
show?
prep variety
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
It was cool. We all wore sunglasses, black shirts.
All right, all right.
So that's funny.
Didn't get mobbed after that song?
No,
okay.
No, we didn't. So then went on to
We should say that Greg has copious notes here on his iPad.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know, and so he came prepared. And I have a list of some of the main the bands that you had told me that you played in. Like I said, Eddie C. and the Bees and Entertainment Department. And so we must be moving into this. Now I'm going to become not a full-time musician, but playing actively.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Sensations actually morphed into a different band. Jim Catterbone also. Me, Kenny Libengood, and on bass, and John Wellman. We played at places like Brookside Fire Hall.
Oh, yeah.
$5, I think we made there, too, back then.
Your rate is not going up. It doesn't sound like.
We're not doing well
Yeah.
so far.
I mean, back then,
Yeah.
was that?
But yeah,
Still.
for kids, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The hell.
All right.
So, and then the band changed a little bit. We got Tommy Lewis's cousin Dick Lewis played bass. Tom played guitar and sang, and Jim Catterbone, the drummer. I worked with Jim for a long, long time too. This was about 1966, I think.
Okay.
And we were pretty strong in harmonies. Did top 40 plus some 50s music.
And you weren't the Sensations anymore.
Yeah.
You still were?
Right,
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we kind of morphed into a different band.
Yeah. It's a great name.
And we did a little bit cool harmonies like Four Aces, Letterman, songs like Graduation Day. We did some Righteous Brothers.
Okay.
We played Scotty's Place out in Route 20 a little bit. That was probably, we played there more than anywhere. And there was a grape field across the street, and we used to go over there on our breaks and stock up on grapes and throw them in a basket and put them in the truck.
Was this in Northeast?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was in
okay.
Northeast.
Scotty's place. All right. And you're a four-piece at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're the only guitar player?
No, Tom Lewis played
Oh,
guitar,
right.
too.
So
Yeah.
2 guitars,
Yeah.
drums,
Bass and drums.
and bass and drums.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And we also played a concert at the Palace Theater in Union City.
Okay.
And that was different. We played a concert. People were sitting down. They got up and they started dancing. The owner came out and said he didn't have a dancing license. So I guess that's a bad thing. So he was admonishing the people for dancing, told them all to sit down or they might step on somebody.
I didn't even know there was such a thing,
I
a
didn't
dancing
either.
license. All right.
And when we left there, Jim reminded me of this story. I was saying, "Hey, anybody see my sunglasses?" We were packing up after the job in this little parking lot. And no, I didn't see him. And he slammed the tailgate of his father's '62 Ford station wagon. I heard this crunch. Well, that's where my sunglasses were.
And that was the end of those. Yeah. You remember all the cars, I see, too.
I do, yes. But we also played a Catherine Little show at Tech Memorial.
What's
one point.
Catherine Little?
It's a dance
Like
school.
dance studio?
Yeah, they
Okay.
had a
Oh,
recital
like
every
little
year.
studio, dance
Yeah,
studio.
exactly.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed as I was doing some of my research on some of your other bands, you played a lot of odd type of like events that I would call odd, like sorority balls and things
Yeah.
like that. As you went on,
Yeah,
I know we'll
college things and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I say that odd because I'm used to we played at this bar and this
I
bar
know,
and this
yeah.
bar,
Yeah, that's
but I
true.
mean, you ended up playing places like
A lot of one-nighters.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Especially later on.
okay,
One really, a lot of fun I had just for a few weeks, I think, was with Pope Hotel. I know somebody else mentioned that.
Yeah, right.
And it was basically a black club, but man, we had such a good time there. It was Jerry McCarthy played drums, Eddie Russo again.
Okay.
He was on a B3 by now.
Okay, yeah. So he
Graduated from his
graduated.
choir
That's a significant graduation.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. And Jeff Ortez played with him originally when I went to hear him, and then Jeff left, and Eddie invited me to play with the band. I don't even think it had a name, but they had a lead singer. His name was Glenn. He was a little short, white, pimply-faced kid from Boston, sang and danced like James Brown.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
So that went over well to
Oh,
Pope
yeah.
Hotel?
Yeah, they loved it.
Where was
we
the-
loved them too. It was 14th and French.
14th and French. Oh,
And
okay.
you may know that's a pretty storied place. I mean, there were a lot of performers back in the 40s. I'm trying to think, Della Reese and people like that.
I mean, I've heard of it
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Okay.
So it was kind of nice to be playing in such a storied venue like
Is
that.
that building even there
No,
anymore?
it's gone.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured. Yeah.
And one thing I remember, I think Charlie the cook, he'd make either a slab of barbecued ribs on a slab of bread or barbecued chicken on a slab of bread for $1.
Oh.
Just slide them through a little hole in the wall on a shelf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was that part of the payment
No.
for the bands or no? That was it.
No,
Okay.
we had to
yeah.
pay for that.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was a good time. And then from there, played with the band called Jamie Shane and the Fine Line.
Wow. All
I don't know
right.
if you've heard of that
I have
one.
not heard of that.
Well, we're probably around for, that was about in 60, whoops, I'm a little out of order here.
Jamie Shane and the Fine Line, and you're doing covers in that too.
Yeah, but before that was Eddie C. and the Bees. I'm remembering.
Oh, it
that.
was? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Dave Gulick was their guitar player, really great guitar player. He left to go in the military.
Okay.
So they were looking for somebody to fill Dave's slot.
And that's in Eddie C. and the Bees.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you because I have a few different lineups
I see. Okay.
of that band. So first of all, why the Bees?
Well, okay. Going back, there was a band called the Bumblebees.
Okay.
And I intended to mention those earlier on because that was one of the early bands I heard before I really started playing out or anything.
Huh.
And that was Bobby Penkalski. I remember him. He had a really nice Sunburst Stratocaster I used to admire.
Yeah.
And I think Dave Gulick played in that band, the
Okay.
Bumblebees.
All right.
So eventually, at some point before my joining the band, they became Eddie C. and the Bees. Eddie Carruthers was their lead singer.
Right.
And he was really a great singer.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times and songs that he sang that I was playing up there, got goosebumps. You know?
Really?
Yeah,
That's great.
He was a really good singer.
So you aren't in the very beginning of that band then?
No.
So that is, who are we talking about? Bob Berger on bass?
Nope.
No?
Bernie Turek on bass, Pat Hammer on drums, Bill Zipper on keyboards, Paul Hartman on sax, and later on, when I was with them, Steve Tetwan joined the band on trumpet.
Okay.
And that added a nice dimension.
So
that
was
second horn.
That was the original lineup.
No, Dave would have been before me, and as far as I know, that was the original Eddie C. and the Bees.
Okay.
And I think there were other forms of that after me, and maybe after later on. I don't know.
But you are when you take over for Dave,
right?
You're the only guitar player.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're talking drums, organ, sax, vocals, bass. And how long do you play with them?
Oh, man. I was having a hard time nailing it down. Probably a year.
A year?
Maybe a year and a half. Until Dave Gulick came back, and then he got his place back in the band. But Pat Hammer, too, the drummer, he was another student of Flip Bellotti.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was a really good drummer.
And you guys, I mean, so what were some of the places that you remember playing with them?
Oh, man, we played Geneva on the Lake a lot, a place called the Sunken Bar, the Castaway, which was down around the corner from the main strip. We played up at the Surf Club in
Bemis Point. Right, yep.
And Geneva on the Lake at the time, they had some really good bands there. The Jaggers played there.
Oh, yeah, with Tony Iris.
Yeah, with Tony Iris. And then the Warner Brothers band called Warner Brothers. I don't know where they were from. They weren't from around here, but they were really good.
Did you play around Erie, or was it just
outside? Yeah, we played
outside?
The Romanian Club a little bit. The Alternative, which was up on McClelland.
Was it called that then?
Who could keep track?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was called The Place, maybe or back then.
I think it was a place later.
Was it The Place later?
So.
And I know that Eddie C. and the Bees played the Spot Cafe, Arbiters.
Yeah, that was before.
Probably
me.
before you. Yeah,
right.
yeah. That Romanian club, the Romany Room, I think they called it. I mean,
oh, did they? Oh, yeah, okay. I don't remember what they called it.
Yeah, I mean that's at I think 11 Pennsylvania Avenue, 11th and Pennsylvania. Those private clubs, those ethnic clubs, were popular spots for bands to play back then, or.
Yeah, to a certain point. I don't remember anything too much more than the Romanian.
Okay, all right. Did you play at Rainbow Gardens with them?
Yeah, actually, we played some of the Jet Hops. I think they were on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Played there. That was a good time.
One of them, the Ides of March, played there, and I saw that
Vehicle.
Right.
We played that song at a later band.
All right, yeah.
I loved it.
I saw that at one point, Eddie C. and the Bees opened for them in 1970 at Rainbow Gardens.
I got some stories there.
Oh yeah,
but Eddie C. and the Bees. That was really a great band, and we had a manager, Bob Larson. He used to make sure we looked good. He'd take us down to. I mean, we had suits, matching suits.
Oh wow.
We did the choreography, the step back and forth, kick, the temptation walk, all that.
So this is like a show band.
Oh yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard so much about this band.
And in clothing, we didn't buy cheap stuff. He'd take us to P.A. Myers. We had really, one of the outfits I remember was a black suit with a pink shirt and a white collar and a burgundy tie.
Whoa.
Yeah, that would still look good today with
sure.
a band. That was pretty cool.
So you're with them for a while. I mean, that band is in existence. At least I looked like, what I could find out was around 67 to maybe 73.
Yeah, I'm thinking 67 was when I was with them.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And one of the gigs we played at the Castaway in Geneva, we're packing up after the show, and there was that 60 seconds where nobody was in the parking lot, and somebody broke into Paul's car and stole a sax out of his back seat.
Oh, jeez. You always hear about that happening, back then, and even today, I'm worried about loading my stuff.
I know. Well, fortunately, insurance covered it.
Were you a gearhead? I mean, were you really into? Did you have a bunch of guitars and amps?
No, not really.
No,
I still have. I still have my '64 Fender Vibralex Reverb amp, which many consider a holy grail.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
And Gretsch Country Gentleman '66.
You still have that?
I still have that. Yeah,
All right.
and my main guitar right now is a Telecaster.
Okay,
American
all right.
Telecaster.
All right.
Yeah.
Had it for a while, or
Right.
okay, all right.
A few years.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. One of the things, Eddie C. and the Bees, we were going to play a Battle of the Bands at the Main Go in Dunkirk, New York.
Okay.
Okay, this must have been about 67.
Was this a bar, the Main Go-Go?
Yeah, it was a dance club bar.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
It was on Main Street, as you might imagine.
No, I think everything probably is. And
Yeah. So we wanted to look good for this, and I think that's 6 or 8 bands. I don't remember if there was another band from Erie there, but we saw these tuxes up in Buffalo that we wanted to get for that, but for some reason we didn't have the money. So my dad actually lent us the money to buy these tuxes, and they were like a green brocade with black lapels, and we had the ruffled shirts and the butterfly bow ties.
Wow.
And yeah, we were getting all ready. And a buddy of mine, Mike Dietrich, he had a Mosrite guitar, which I really loved, and he let me borrow that for this job, right? So anyway, we went up and played, and they had amps on the stage for us, so you didn't have to keep swapping out
Right,
equipment
yeah.
as the bands were changing. They were Wurlitzer amplifiers. Exactly.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you're making that face.
Yeah.
I never heard of them either.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't make it but 2 hours. I think they all fried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they had to bring in some more amps. And
that's funny.
I know. That was funny. I'll never forget that.
That's a memorable gig. Yeah.
Well, and the cool thing was we won the Battle of the Band.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know
cool.
they had bands from Buffalo and other places.
What do you get for that?
We got, I don't think we got a cash prize, but we got a contract to play there for a certain amount of time. And
That's
I don't
cool.
remember now what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, because I know, like, over the years, different guys that have played in Battle of the Bands, like Tim McLaughlin has showed me his trophy.
Oh, really?
That they got.
Yeah, I don't think we even got a trophy. I don't know.
Maybe he made that trophy. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't know what you got
so
for those
that was
types
actually
of
pretty
things.
exciting.
Yeah.
That was an exciting day.
That was a cool. And so you're playing with them. You're still how old?
Oh, I'm actually 20.
You're 20.
About
Okay.
20, yeah.
Are you going to college or?
I'm between high school and college.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Day job or just being a musician?
57 day job. Yeah, I was working at First National Bank at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teller or?
Yeah, teller,
Yeah.
head teller, or whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I went from there into newspaper advertising
Okay.
a little later.
At the Times.
No, Erie Press.
Erie Press.
It was a weekly newspaper.
Okay. All right. All right.
A lot of people might remember that. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
So where do you go from Eddie C. and the Bees?
Oh, man, where do I go?
Is it entertainment department?
No, actually, that was Jamie Shane and the Fine Line.
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah.
said you were a little.
Yeah, that was John DeBacco. He was like kind of the front man, lead singer. Louis Sperdotto played drums. Ken Felix played bass. John Huber, who I played with at that Prep Variety show, and my cousin, tenor sax. And Pete Blatt played B3. And about that time, I picked up the trumpet. We had a sax, and I thought, well, I'll learn a few parts on the trumpet, and I did. And
All right.
That added a lot.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And did some James Brown, Four Tops, Temptations, and a lot of different soft rock things. One of the guys reminded me that we played the Gannon 8-ball really cheap just to get our name out when we started.
What was that?
That was it was a dance that Gannon had.
Oh.
It was a big dance. Their annual
Gotcha.
8-ball.
The 8-ball.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so primarily you've been playing rhythm and blues, soul music.
Yeah, I love it too.
Right?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that music.
Okay. Yeah. And because you just said like mellower, soft rock type of stuff, because we really haven't even come into that yet as far as a music genre, right? I mean, we're at the very beginning of the 70s.
Yeah. Well, we're still at the end of the 60s, actually.
Okay.
68 or 60.
Yeah, right.
9, somewhere around there.
All right.
Yeah. And we played, like I said, we played Gannon 8-ball. We played this place, The Flame, on 15th and Peninsula. That's what that building was at that time.
Oh.
The Flame, it was Fat Daddies, it was Yogi's.
It became Yogis.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And if anybody doesn't remember, I think that building was built as the Chatterbox, which was a underage dance club.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Yeah, I've heard so much about Yogis. I didn't know
know,
it was called
yeah.
The Flame. All right.
So we played college dances and parties, and funny thing was, Pete had that B3, and we'd have to go to his house and pick it up for a job.
Yeah.
And he had the dolly for the B3. You know,
Right.
You put the organ on it, and it's got handles, and you wheel it.
Sure.
Around. And every time we go to his house to pick up the organ, we put it on a dolly. His mother would yell, "Peter, you're not taking that organ out of this house. Peter, you're not taking that organ." And we'd still be skipping around and getting it out in the truck.
Did he have a Leslie that went with
Yeah,
it?
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those guys, they need to have bandmates who are willing
I know.
and strong enough to move that stuff around. Yeah, I've talked to plenty of organ players over the years.
That's right. And then eventually Ken left for veterinary school, and he, a lot of people around here know him as a veterinarian. He owned Glenwood Pet Hospital.
What's his last name?
Felix.
Oh,
Ken Felix.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And when Ken left, Steve Schaefer came and filled his spot. And the cool thing about Steve was he was a really good bass player, and he also played trombone.
Oh,
So
that's weird.
So now we got, we got trombone, we got trumpet, we got sax, so we can, play
Right.
around with this, that, and the other thing. So
that adds a lot.
Yeah, it does. It widened our horizon of the kind of material we could do. Steve actually, he became quite a big time musician. He after a while he decided he wanted to go on the road and try to do something a little more with his music, and he hooked up with he answered that in the International Musician magazine. He went on the road with his band in New York State somewhere, and within a year he was playing bass for Bobby Goldsboro.
Oh, what was his last name? Steve
Schaefer.
Steve Schaefer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if his name ever came up.
I don't know if it has. Yeah.
And he went on to be actually one of the hottest studio bass players in Nashville through the 70s and the 80s.
Huh.
He played with Jerry Reed. He played, like I said, with Bobby Goldsboro, Barbara Mandrell. He did albums and tracks with Gladys Knight. With,
Wow.
His discography is like 2 pages long.
He'd be a good guy to track down.
I've tried to. I've been able to find him. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. So, who's next?
Okay, I get a call. This is about 68 or 69. I get a call from a guy named Frank Berridge. "Hey, Greg, you play guitar?" I said, "Yeah." "You want to play New Year's Eve at the Spot?" "Sure."
Yeah.
So I hooked up. I hadn't met Frank before. I didn't know who he was, and so we got together and practiced a little bit. I think Bob Michael might have been playing drums at the time, and we must have had another musician. Maybe it was Eddie Russo. I'm not sure. But so we played New Year's Eve at the Spot, and we were a little rough.
What was it? Did you have a name?
Oh yeah, the name was the Tombstones.
Whoa.
Solid Rock.
Nice. All right.
So anyway, we played the Spot a few times, and then we ended up down at Rocco's, 3rd and State.
Right.
The former pilot house was Rocco's, yeah. And it was Frank, Bob Michael, Denny Casey joined us as a bass player because Frank was a bass player, but he was now being the front band. He didn't want to play bass anymore. And Eddie Russo came with us he was playing B3.
Okay.
So Eddie and I got a chance to play again.
So I always heard that the pilot house and whatever it became afterwards was a little rough.
Rocco's wasn't too bad.
No?
No,
Okay.
I would say no.
All right.
Had go-go girls at the time.
It did. Oh, yeah.
A girl dancing on the left of the stage and a girl dancing on the right of the stage.
Oh, while you're playing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Had entertainment.
all right.
Yeah, that was funny.
Maybe those are the girls that I need to interview for the podcast.
Yeah, if we could find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of them was 6'2". She's pretty, too.
That'd be hard to forget.
I
Yeah.
am.
So you're playing with this Tombstones band all of a
Right.
sudden.
And then we started playing The Village, too. And
That's that's by Waldemar, right?
yeah, Rocco's we were playing 6 nights a week.
Holy cow.
Yeah, 6 nights a week. And The Village we were playing 6 nights a week.
What was the time frame?
68, 69.
No. I mean, like, what time did you go on? What time were you done?
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Yeah.
6 days a week.
Yeah. Oh, and the bad thing was I was also working a summer job at Perry Plastics, first shift, 7 a.m.
That's rough.
Well, what happened there is I was obviously being a little tired one night, and I had my hand resting on part of one of my plastic machines that I shouldn't have had my hand on, and I got my knuckle crushed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that put me out of commission for a little while.
That's not good for a guitar player.
No, it's not. It was my left hand, too.
Oh.
But anyway, that resolved itself pretty good over time. But
So the Tombstones were actively playing.
Well, we changed our name to the Entertainment Department.
Okay, that's what it became.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And
Yeah, when I was looking that up, I saw Yogi's Place. I saw you guys played the Arts Festival in '70.
oh, you found that?
I saw that
Did
you
you
played
really? Where the heck did you
Christ
play it?
United Methodist Church, a dance for high school kids in July of '70.
Really?
You played in '74. Were you in the band the whole time?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Played at a place called Chaps Shangri-La out on Clark Road.
Oh, okay. I vaguely remember that.
But I didn't.
Where did you find this?
I looked stuff up on the database for the Times News, so if there was an
Really?
ad, but
Oh,
I didn't see a lot of stuff for that band.
Okay.
And I wondered why. I mean, was it because they were the Tombstones first, or did you play out of town?
No,
or?
it was mostly entertainment department.
Okay.
And, Frank had a friend, Dick Armour, who was a graphic designer, and he made us this sign, the entertainment department. This thing was like 6 feet wide and 4 feet high.
Okay.
It was painted in day glow colors over a black background. And he made us 2 little side posters too, and we had a black light on those things. Man, that thing lit up.
Cool,
like a neon
yeah.
sign. And that was so cool. So we had the best band sign in town.
Well, run me through the guys again that are in the entertainment. I mean, how many people? What are they
Okay,
doing?
it started as Frank Berridge on bass, and then he went just to being front man. Bob Michael on drums, Denny Casey on bass, also Eddie Russo, and then
So there's 5 of you.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And we did, we were doing a little Beatles, wide range of top 40 stuff, Cream. We had a break song, Heat Wave, which was really da-da-da-dum, boom, 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 boom. Be back in 20 minutes.
Huh?
So,
Yeah.
and we play, like I said, we play the Village 6 nights a week.
Wow. How was that playing the Village? Like,
Oh,
were
that place
there?
was great, and it was a huge place. And back in the 20s, I guess, it used to be a resort hotel, and they'd bring big name acts in from like Las
Right.
Vegas and that sort of thing. Real long horseshoe bar. They had a elevated dance floor and the elevated stage above that for the band.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Was there a big stage and stuff? 'Cause
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
so much about,
Yeah, yeah.
like you said, like famous people came and played there over the years.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we were at the Village, like I said, we were playing 6 nights a week. People, the 3Ds was across the street, so people go over there and they'd have some cheap drinks and then walk across the street to the Village and
Right.
dance and drink some more.
Was the mobile home park there? at all?
No, it was all parking.
That was all
lot.
parking
Yeah.
lot. All right, and
it was
the
full on
building's
weekends,
way
yeah.
in the back.
Right,
Right. Is
right.
that building still there?
I
way
don't
back?
think it is.
I don't
There's
know.
some debate about that.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I
And
haven't been back there.
so,
But we went to the Village. Eddie actually left to go play with Vinny Younger in New York City.
Oh, okay.
So we had a few different keyboard players. I don't remember.
Oh, because that band was in existence for
yeah.
like 4 years, right? The entertainment department.
Well, in
Like maybe
different
you're on-
forms. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say. Eddie left the keyboard. Kenny Raid played for a little while. Ed Matthews. I think Ed played. I played with Ed in some band. I think it was that band.
Ed played organ in that band. Yeah.
played keyboards.
Yep.
And Tom Martin. I know his name's come up
Sure,
before. Tom
right.
played with us. And then Pat Matters. Pat Matters played with us, and he's another guy I played with for many years after that. Dave Grossi played alto sax with us for a short time. His dad had a music store on Brown Avenue, studio.
Oh, okay.
He taught down there. Dave was a really good alto sax player.
And you're still doing what you would call top 40 at the time.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And you're playing how much in a month?
Oh,
Well, I mean, you
I
were
don't know,
playing.
every weekend.
Yeah,
I
you're
would
playing
say.
every week. Yeah. Sometimes you're playing a week stint at places.
Yeah, but mostly in some places Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Wednesday was always a big night out.
Okay.
Back then.
Oh, really?
Along with Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
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 Interesting.
I know.
Yeah. Now it's so different now. Yeah.
Now,
Right.
when we left, then Frank Berridge, he actually left to play with Vinny Younger in New York too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then we started a new band. Pat Matters, who was keyboard with us he just started with us at the Village. He stayed. He played tenor sax and keyboards.
Is this Connections West?
Nope.
No?
This is before Connections.
Okay. All right.
This Jim Catrabone on drums. Chuck Norris played guitar, and Chuck played a little trumpet. Donnie Rogers played bass. Tom Denning was lead singer and front man. And Tom doubled on trombone a little bit. So that was kind of nice. Again, we we had horns, and we had some nice harmony. We did Chicago Blood, Sweat, and Tears and stuff like that.
What was the name of the band?
Entertainment Department.
It was still Entertainment.
Yeah,
So this
just
is
a
just
different
an
version.
evolution. Gotcha.
Right,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had a good name going, so we thought we'd
Sure.
keep it going.
Right.
Yeah, we did some Grassroots, Creedence Clearwater, and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right.
College jobs, played for the Pikes fraternities, played the Yogis a lot.
Right. What was Yogi's like as far as? Did they have a stage or?
Yeah, they had a nice stage. It was busy. It was a real popular place.
It was.
Weekends, yeah.
Right.
Friday and Saturday, maybe Wednesday. I don't remember.
I didn't know if it was like a smaller bar or.
Well, it was pretty good size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remind me where that is. Peninsula.
15th and Peninsula.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, whatever it was it was Yogis at that time.
Yeah.
Remember
Okay.
that's funny. But we play places like Hunting and Fishing Club out in Conneaut Lake. The beach club there and Hunting and Fishing Club were the two hot spots, and I guess the Cowshed at the time.
Right.
But we'd go out and rent a cabin there for the weekend, a couple of us, and just stay. We played Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
And that could be kind of a rough place too.
Oh, really? Yeah. The Cowshed.
No,
or the
Hunting and
Fishing. Yeah, right.
We used to call
Gotcha.
it H&F.
All right.
H&F. But a lot of people from Shenango Valley and Pittsburgh came up that way, Conneaut Lake in the summertime. It was always a good crowd, always a really good time.
So what do we go into Connections West at this point, or?
Let me see where we go.
I was doing some research on that. It looked like it started around 73.
Well, Jim and if I can add a little bit, Jim and I got a call from this guy H.J. Harden. He was a singer.
Okay.
And he wanted to jam with us because he wanted to play a benefit somewhere at St. Andrews for something. So we met with him up in an apartment up on Peach Street between 9th and 10th, and he had Willie McCoy with him, a guitar player. And one thing I remember about Willie, his right hand, his fingernails were like an inch long on his right hand.
Wow.
Anyway, so we jammed with them, and they were talking about, hey, let's build a bird. Build a bird? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to go buy some Thunderbird wine. That was one of the things they did, I guess. So.
All right.
Anyway, so then we played a lot of phone company jobs, too, for GTE Data Services. Jim worked at the phone company, so he had in there. And we did a lot of phone company parties. And
Okay.
Played the Aristocrat Lounge and
Commerce Building.
Yeah.
Right.
Places here and there.
I've always heard that was a cool gig.
Yeah,
Cool
yeah.
room.
There were a lot of cool places to play.
Yeah.
Remember, some of these years early on, there weren't DJs. They didn't have DJs yet.
Right.
So
Right. It was all bands.
Yeah, it was all bands. That's
Right.
And then we kind of morphed into another band called Temple. Pat and I
Oh,
put together another band. Jerry DeRosa on guitar. Skip Niebauer played bass. He
Oh,
probably
wow.
guitar-
Sure, from the RK4. Yeah.
Chuck Gannon played drums. Chuck actually went on to buy Markham's Music Store. He owned that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But play Fat Daddies, Conneaut Lake again, Yogis. So that's it.
Gotcha. All right. So you are continually playing.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a break. I mean,
not that I remember.
and you're not still working at the bank.
No,
I mean,
no.
Day job.
I Jet TV. I started in Jet TV in, 77. I just played, I drove limos some in the 60s.
Okay.
No, 70s, I should say. I was doing that and playing in a band. For a couple of years, that's all I did.
All right.
Yeah,
Rupp Limousine.
yeah, that's it.
I
He
figured.
was my brother-in-law.
I figured
Oh,
Ed.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Ed.
That's what we talked about it. Yeah.
I worked with Ed at the sports store.
That's right. Oh, sports store, too. Oh,
Yeah.
his dad.
Yeah, his dad.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
All right, that's cool. So now we're going. Pat Matters and I started looking to put another band together. So got Brett Fells on drums, Brian Fells guitar. Brian, he started jamming with us. I don't remember if he actually went out and played with us or not.
I know that name. I've heard
Yeah.
it before. Yeah.
Denny Burkhart played trumpet and percussion. Ed Larson on bass. Brian, I guess, left early on too to play with the younger brothers.
Oh, okay.
See a pattern here?
I was going to say, the younger brothers were looking at your bands and saying, let's just take this guy. Let's take this guy. Yeah. Gotcha. All right.
Anyway, again, we were versatile because, I doubled on trumpet and Pat played sax and keyboards and Denny played trumpet. And at one point, I thought, boy, it'd be nice to have a trombone, So
Yeah.
I learned to play trombone.
I saw that.
And, well, the thing is, I wasn't like a really good trombone player, but I was just learning parts, for like Chicago songs.
Oh,
and stuff.
gotcha. Okay.
And
But
it wasn't real easy stuff, but it wasn't.
But who was playing guitar then while you're playing trumpet?
Well, we had
or trombone?
We had different.
You had like other guys that were
Well, we had other keyboard players. We started with 5, and we brought in. We kept bringing in a 6th. Like Nick Nardo, I think, played with us for a while. Sheldon Peterson played.
Oh,
with
okay,
us.
yeah, sure.
And I think Sheldon at one point wanted to go play jazz.
Right.
And he's obviously well known around here for that. And then Bernie DiNardo came and played with us. And Bernie stayed with us for a long time, and that was great because now we could do 2 guitars.
Right.
And we could do like guitar solo duets.
Yeah.
Like there was one in the song "Still the One" that always sounded really cool.
Yeah, great one. Yeah.
So, I think 1 or 2 songs Pat was playing sax with one hand and keyboard with another. But,
all right.
But it was nice because we could play all kinds of different songs. We played Rainbow Gardens a lot. One thing we like to do, a lot of the church dances or other dances, parties, they used to hire a big band and hire us, and we'd alternate sets.
Which band was this, though?
Connections
This
West.
is Connections
Yeah.
West. Yeah, I noticed that. Like you said, you just kind of threw out, we played Rainbow Gardens a lot. Like today, that would be a huge gig for a band. But back then, they had a lot of
a
just
lot
like
of
dances
things.
and stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We played with all the big bands, Teddy Arman and Jimmy Issue, Dale Higgins, I think Dave Stevens probably.
So when they would come in town,
no, they were local.
Oh, okay.
They were local big bands.
Okay. You were all big bands,
Yeah.
and you guys were playing. At
We'd alternate sets. A big band play a set, and Connections West would play a set.
Oh,
and the big
okay.
band would play a set. And it was nice. Everybody was happy.
Yeah.
The old people weren't complaining because music was too loud
Right.
or don't you guys know anything good? That kind of thing.
How was the camaraderie back then amongst musicians themselves?
Oh, it was great.
That's what I've heard.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys. And I was thinking about that when I was, putting together some notes on this. If we had any riffs or conflicts, they didn't last any more than 30 seconds with any of these guys in any of these bands.
Right,
it was
right.
Crazy.
I always would hear, about like the Calabrese Club would be open till 4 a.m. or whatever, and so if a regular bar closed at 2, the musicians would go to the Cali Club afterwards or some of those late night clubs.
Yeah.
And that's how you, as a regular playing musician, got to see the other bands.
Right. I don't remember doing a lot of that, but however, we all knew each other.
You ended up playing on the same bill, it sounds like, with them a lot at Rainbow Gardens or other places like that where you'd have multiple bands.
Oh, well, the big bands, yeah.
Yeah, the big bands.
Yeah, yeah.
You played the Erie Festival of the Arts and stuff like that, where you'd still probably interact with folks like that.
Right, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what was Frank's Hotel? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was on 5th and French.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Okay, yeah.
Probably an area church building. Or
Yeah,
something.
right. Yeah. I saw that on a list of some of my research. I was like, boy, that's one I've never heard of. All right. But you said
we played again places like the Aristocrat Lounge, Fat Daddies.
Yeah, where was Fat Daddies?
That was 15th and Peninsula.
That was Yogi's. Yeah,
it was
right.
Yogi's.
Okay.
We played Anthony's Lounge downtown. We played the Antlers a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is in the same spot.
Yeah,
right.
it is.
Yeah.
And Villa, we played a lot for Villa dances, high school and college.
I saw that. Yeah. Like the Snow Blossom Ball, you played a lot. It seems like. Yeah. I mean, I do my research, man.
You got to tell me where you find this.
Yeah. And that was interesting. Like I'd see these sorority balls that you'd be doing and stuff like that. I mean, how were those gigs? I mean, and how did you?
Fun, man.
Did you have a manager back then?
No.
So people would just reach out to you guys somehow, and I wondered about that. Yeah, and you mentioned the place at McClelland, and I saw an ad in '74. It said, it listed Lincoln, Red, White, and Blueberry, Saginaw, Quill Eller, and you guys, Connections West. Those are some major Erie bands from back in the day.
They were. Oh, you mean at different times?
Well, it said the place.
Night.
No, not the same night.
Yeah.
But it said local acts, including listed.
I see.
Those are some.
Show me where you got.
I'll send you that.
Jeez.
Yeah, what I'll do is I tell everybody this. On your episode page, you're going to give me some poster or some pictures, I imagine.
Yeah,
and whatever you have.
Yeah, but I don't have much, but I'm still looking on seeing if I can find something.
But I have some of the actual ads and things like that I'll post on it too.
So, we played a lot, man. We were playing, and that band was together for like 8 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And on one weekend we played. Prom to Dawn on Friday night. We We drove to Sheffield outside of Warren for a wedding on Saturday afternoon, and we came back and played a prom on Saturday night.
Holy cow! So 3 gigs in 48 hours. Yeah,
or 24 hours.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah. We did some oldies sets too. We played I think it was the Erie County Fair. It was kind of cool. We did a set of oldies, and Ed Larson, our bass player, had a '55 Chevy. So what we did is we all piled in that, and we drove up and parked it in front of the stage when we were going on, and piled out of the car, walked up on the stage, and put on our instruments.
Very theatrical.
Yeah,
all right.
Theatrical.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. And Pat Matters, and we weren't crazy about doing weddings. People would hire us for weddings, but we always had the older crowd saying, they didn't like the music we played.
Sure, right.
So we started a little spin-off band. I think there were 4 of us, and we called ourselves the Bill Sconce Trio.
Who's Bill Sconce?
There is no such person.
Gotcha.
We just
all right.
made it up.
That's awesome.
So we do weddings like that. But there were 4 of us, and we called ourselves a trio, and nobody ever asked any questions.
Yeah. Not only did they not ask who Bill was, why were there 4 of you in a trio?
Right,
gotcha.
Exactly.
All right.
So, but boy, I'll tell you, I just had so much fun playing in bands all those years. Made so many lifelong friends.
I bet.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. And you, at this point, you're already at WJT, working in sales there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you stay there for
39.
39 years. That's impressive.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I loved my job, too. After I retired, I missed my clients and my colleagues at work and everything.
Sure.
Cool.
Did you, throughout those years then, does music then become just kind of a hobby on the side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was away from it for a lot of years, actually. And your friend Jack Gellner.
Sure.
I know he sang in a group years ago.
Oh, did he?
You know that?
I did not.
Okay.
Now, when we say Jack is my friend, and let's be clear, I worked for Jack in the 80s for a few years. I haven't seen Jack in,
Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So Jack and I started getting together to jam.
Okay.
We'd sing some stuff. We'd go to his house and do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I never knew that. I knew Jack was a big music fan.
Yeah, he is. Boy,
yeah, right.
And then I'm trying to remember. Oh, and then I had my house broken into down Lakeshore a few years ago.
Oh.
And the neighbors heard about it, and they heard I had a guitar stolen. I had a big TV and a guitar stolen. Well, I had my Telecaster stolen, which was leaning on the wall right up against my vintage Country Gentleman.
And they just took the guitar.
They just took the Telecaster.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So,
right.
They ultimately caught the perps, but the neighbors heard, hey, I heard you play guitar. Yeah, well, we got a little neighborhood garage band if you want to join us. So, yeah.
So that's what you're doing now?
Yeah.
Who's in that?
Matt Filippi, he's one of my
I know
counterparts
Matt.
at WIC.
I was a sound man for Matt's band back in the 80s.
You were the what?
I was the sound
Were you
man.
really?
Yeah, Matt played. We used to set up and play at his house actually,
Oh,
off
okay.
Golf Club Road or
Yeah,
something like
all
that.
right.
Yeah, his folks' house.
And Tom and
Great dude.
Dave Welch, Tom and his son Dave play, and Jason Robertson.
Okay.
He just kind of started in with us last year. I've been doing this for maybe 3 years. Keeps me sharp,
Just a basement band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Love it. Yeah.
And boy, these guys have some great equipment too. Better stuff than I had when I played
Sure.
in bands.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're all younger than you?
Well, Tom's about my age.
Okay,
And the
all
rest of them, the rest of them are younger. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, you had mentioned to me that you were a checking agent for Musicians Local 17. I don't even know what that means.
Okay. Well, let me go back a ways.
Yeah.
Okay, when I started playing at the Village, right?
All right.
I was in the union, and I learned it.
Which most of the guys were at the time, right?
Yeah, but
You
I learned the guys I was playing with weren't in the union,
Oh.
so they hadn't joined yet,
Okay.
So I'm going. And then somebody made a comment about a rumor that Mario Bagnoni was going to come out and check.
Right. Yeah, because Mario was the head of it, right? Yeah.
Well, he was the head of it. He was a business agent, I think they called
Okay.
him.
All right.
And he and I got to be good friends in later years. But those guys were a little nervous I was going to get busted. So there was about 5 foot under the stage, and I went under the stage, plugged in through the floor, and I played under the stage. Frank would be out there going, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just so
so I
they
did
could-
that first set just for fun, and then I came back up and played the rest of it, but it was funny. But I kind of got involved in the musicians union, just checking agent. All you do, if there's an out-of-town band coming in, you just meet with them and collect their local work dues. Pretty
Really?
much. And I got to meet a lot of bands like
Yeah,
that,
I
which
bet.
was really cool.
Huh. Was that a paid position?
No.
No?
I don't.
Okay.
Maybe it was. I don't remember. If
Yeah.
it wasn't anything I'd remember.
Yeah, and like those types of things don't even exist. I mean, they exist, I'm sure, today, because a lot of like Philharmonic folks are in the union and stuff.
Right.
But for rock and roll bands,
Well, that's a good question. I don't even know. But I used to have the contracts with me for the bands that would come in. So yeah, I'd go. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know
That's
about
a good
that.
question. As far as I know, they still have a part-time secretary position who has an office in the Masonic building.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm going to stop in there sometime and
Yeah.
say hello and see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, let's. How about we wrap it up there?
Yeah, good.
Does that sound like a good spot? I appreciate you being on today. This was great. I learned a lot.
Yeah, good. That was fun, Chip.
Yeah,
Appreciate
good.
the invitation.
Yeah, well, thanks, Greg. And for those of you out there listening, we will post some of those ads that I talked about and whatever Greg can give me on his episode page.
All right, cool.
Cool, thanks. That's it for this episode. But remember, I always post photos of the person I interview on their episode page at eriemusichistory.com. That's all one word. And if you want to support this podcast, go to patreon.com. That's Patreon. And look up Erie Music History, and you can pledge a few bucks. My thanks to everyone who has been a supporter so far. Also, I always like to mention Jack Stevenson's two-man happy hour podcast, which is where you'll find out who's playing where and when these days in Erie. That's the number 2 manhappyhour.com. Thank you to our sponsor, the JPT Foundation, as usual. They have that great bingo hall that is available for rent up on West 38th Street. That's also where we will host our second music night. It's a music night / open mic night with local band, The Fabulous Leftovers. That's coming up on Tuesday, March 29th from 6 to 9. It's free, and all the proceeds go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. Last time we raised over $700. So come on out Tuesday, March 29th, and enjoy some free music and help out a great cause. All right, that's it for me. I'm Chip Shell. Thanks for listening to the Erie Music History Podcast.